Hello everybody, welcome to St. Olaves Mock 1 walkthrough. This is the comprehension section and we're just reading about a girl called, let's call her Lida. And we can set that there's quite old language, it's quite in the olden times, and she's with her friends. And it seems like she's coming of age. She's attending a ball, she's travelling by railway. And then suddenly something happens where I think her friend Hattie falls into a small hole and the girls are scurrying about, they're trying to help her, and there's a train coming at the same time. So I just summarised the text so it can help us understand the questions a little bit better. So from the passage, we know that it doesn't really talk about slavery in this passage and whether she's poor or not. We know that for a fact from the language and the kind of machinery they're using. For example, having to tend the fire in the wood-burning stove, the passage is not set in modern times. Question 2, what is the best definition for assiduous? So it talks about assiduous over here. She had an assiduous nature and applied herself to almost any task unremittingly. So it's saying that it's talking about how she's working and her work nature. So if she's working very hard, then she would be very diligent. And diligent means to be very hardworking. These other words don't necessarily mean hardworking. It's definitely not cautious. Question 3, what is the best synonym for respite? So the word respite is found over here. She took this quick respite to dream about the dance she would be attending that evening. And where is she going? She's travelling on the train. So what does respite mean? It sounds like something like she took a quick break to daydream about the dance. So if it sort of means like a break, then the word that makes the most sense is stop. Solution B. Question 4, how do Hattie and Lida differ? So we're going to find evidence in the text for their natures. From the text, we know, because we always want to look for evidence, we know she's assiduous and we know she's much more demure. She is trying to finish off her household tasks while Hattie is moving her along. That can be seen over here. Anyway, I need to put a few more logs in the stove so Auntie can boil water for the dishes. And that shows that she's trying to run the household. However, Hattie comes along and she's too excited. She's trying to hurry Hattie along. She's scurrying. It says the girls, but Lida's the one who's only tentative. Lida's calm, but Hattie is the one who falls in the ditch. So, using this as evidence, I would say it doesn't really say Lida is ambivalent about the party because she's dreaming about the dress she's going to wear there. The most evidence I can see is that Hattie is carefree and Lida is responsible because she's doing household tasks. Hattie's the one who's just purely ready to go to the ball. Question 5, what type of characters are Mary and Florence? So let's try and find mentions of Mary and Florence. So not mention much because the piece is mainly focusing on Lida and Hattie. And so we have Mary and Florence over here. Their screams could be heard intermittently in the night, watching helplessly as the train lights grew brighter. So while Hattie is in this ditch, Lida is the only one who's trying to help her out. She had Hattie in her fingertips. Mary and Florence, we're not really told anything about them, apart from over here. They just mumbled in agreement. They don't really advance the plot in any way. Therefore, out of all of these, I would say D is the most evidence is given for solution D. They do very little to advance the plot. They're sort of just there to show that it's a group of girls going to a party. Question number 6, what is the best antonym for demure? Be careful of this. Let's find demure. So demure over here is given as her demure personality. She'd chosen a modest yet elegant dress in a charcoal grey. So it's already giving clues as to what her personality could be like. We know it's something to do with modesty, sort of being more graceful. So if you are demure, you're more reserved, more shy. I guess demure and shy are sort of synonyms, and the only antonym here will be outgoing. That is the opposite of shy, modest. Question 7, what does belied mean? And we're trying to find out. It's sort of calming down, or it's not showing how hard her heart was thumping. So she's really trying to stay calm while all this is going on. So her calm voice sort of misrepresented the fact that she had a panic-stricken heart. It was thumping really hard. So it was misrepresented. You could say that her calm voice didn't really make herself calm down because her heart was still thumping. And it wasn't really a redirection. She's trying to misrepresent the fact that she is quite panicked because everyone is panicked over there at the same time. Question 8, we have a quote over here. The girls hoisted her to her feet, and together they hobbled away through the night like a collection of frenzied grove robbers, their treasure in tow. So there's not really any personification, hard word to say, because it's not a grave robber is just another person. It's not saying like a cloud was like a person, something like that. And the key clue we're going to find from this quote is like. And what does like or as generally mean? It means simile. But let's just confirm. A simile characterized by the making of comparison between two unrelated and dissimilar things. Yes, that makes sense so far. And it allows the reader to better understand the sentiment with words like as or like. So all of this is checking out. So D is our answer. Next up, we have a passage called The Best Seat, and to summarize, to understand the questions a little bit better, we meet a girl called Carolyn Robbins, and she is starting her new day at school, and she is trying to figure out where to sit, and she seems to be about like a tween to me, maybe like 12 or 13. But she's basically saying that where she sits is definitely gonna determine the rest of her school year. She's trying to be a cool kid, but she's also she's not trying to get distracted, so she has to sit with the smart kids, cool kids. So that is the important decision she has to make. Question number 9, how can we understand? We can understand that Carolyn would be seated next to Zach or in front of Zach in some classes because, now let's go back. It says here that the teacher would place students in alphabetical order. We also know that even if they're in alphabetical order, we know it's based on last name because her name is Carolyn Robbins, and we know that his name is Zach Rogers. So Zach, Rogers, and Robbins, they would be sat depending on the alphabetical order of their last name. Therefore, we know that 1 and 2 are the two solutions that are true. Therefore, the solution is B. Question number 10, what does the word drawback mean? So the word drawback is seen over here. Being a Robbins was pretty good, but having to sit in front of Zach was definitely a drawback. So drawback generally means the con of something. She likes being a Robbins, her last name, but the fact that she has to sit in front of Zach, who keeps on trying to crack jokes to impress her, was a negative thing about the surname. So it could be described as a disadvantage. So annoyance doesn't really always mean drawback. A drawback can be not annoying, just unfortunate. So disadvantage is a better word to describe. Question 11, what is meant by the fact that smart kids and the cool kids were not the same kids? So she didn't want to sit too close to the smart kids. Unfortunately, at Carolyn's school, the smart kids and the cool kids were not the same kids. Therefore, if she didn't want to sit too close to the smart kids, then that means if she's not smart, then she's probably cool, since you can't be both. It also says over here she liked to think herself as one of the cool kids. Therefore, solution A, Carolyn is really seen as a cool kid, not a smart kid. Question number 12, she didn't want to get to class too early because she didn't have any control at all. And what is this control over? It's about where she's sitting. If you're the first one there, then you can't control who's sitting next to you because everyone's going to come and sit next to you as they wish. In the same way, if she got to class too late, then she would have to sit in just the last spot next to someone who's maybe too smart or maybe too cool. Therefore, getting to class last would be the similar problem to getting to class first. She wouldn't have any control over where she can sit. Question number 13, how does she make sure not to get class too early? So it says over here, she took her time walking down the hall, taking a minute to talk to her friend Alma. Therefore, the solution to 13 would be stopping to talk to her friend Alma. So Carolyn's attitude in the final paragraph can best be described as, So it says here that she was saddened but not discouraged. Carolyn sat down in the second best seat and immediately started planning for lunchtime, where she was, this is the important bit, determined to get the best seat in the cafeteria. Therefore, though she had this quite disappointing experience in the classroom, she was resolute. Resolute means she's unyielding to the fact that she didn't get the best seat. She's going to try even harder at the cafeteria to get the best seat. Therefore, the solution should be C. She can be disappointed. However, the overall tone of the last passage isn't that she's giving up. She's trying again during lunch. We're going to be starting off with the math section. First off, we are going to arrange some digits. So arrange the digits of the number 2, 3, 2, 9, 3, 6 in descending order. They tell you what descending means. We're going to start from the biggest. So the biggest is 9. Then we have 6, 9, 6, 3, 2. That's the first one dealt with. And then we have ascending order, starting from smallest to biggest. So we're going to have 2, 3, 6, 9. Now to find the difference, we have to subtract them. We have to borrow from the 3, make that 2. We get 3. 2 minus 6. We have to borrow from the 6 to make that 5. Carry 1, we get 6. 5 and 3, we get 2. 7, 2, 6, 3. We get B as our answer. If we score a die 100 times, what's the probability of getting a 6? And it's an ordinary die, so probability of getting a 6 is equal to 1/6, and we're going to write probability of 6 is equal to. So then to find out how many times she'd expect, we're going to multiply that by 100. So 6 goes into 10 one time, left 4 over. We can only go in about 16, so it's approximately 16 or 17 times. Let's write approximately 16 or 17. Which one is the closest to that? We have C, which is the answer. Question 3, we're going to have to find out the surface area of the brick, and I'm going to call these A, B, and C only because we know to find out surface area, we have to have double A because it's one at the front and one at the back, double B, one at the front, one at the bottom, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then double C on the sides. So let's figure out A, and the dimensions of this are going to be 10 times 4, which is equal to 40. And then we're going to remember multiply that by 2 because there's one at the top, one at the bottom. Then this is going to give us 80. For B, we know the dimensions are 10 over here and then 5 over here. So that becomes 10 times 5, which is equal to, let me just make that a bit clearer, times 5, which is equal to 50. And then multiply that by 2, we get 100. We're going to figure out dimension C. And I'm going to highlight the ones we need as we go along, because this will be, they're all in centimeters squared because we're figuring out area, not volume. And then 4 times 5, so this one's 4 times 5, and then that's going to be 20. And then we multiply that by 2 to give us 40. And then that's another area we have to factor in. Add them all together. Total surface area is equal to 80 plus 100, which is 180, plus 40, which is equal to 220, which is going to give us the answer D. Question 4 here, we need to find out how many absences in total there was. So we have 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 5 plus 3, which means in total, let's write that down. Total, we have 1 plus 4 is 5, add 2 is 7, add 5 is 12, add 3 is 15. So we know there are total 15 absences, and if it's represented on a pie chart, how many degrees are in a pie chart? We have 360 degrees. So what angle would be required for Wednesday? So what is Wednesday? Wednesday is 2 absences out of 15. So Wednesday would represent 2 over 15, of that 360-degree pie chart. So now we have to cancel out. I know 5 will go into both of these. We're going to cross multiply. 5 goes into this 7 times. Remainder 2, 72. We can simplify that one more time. 3 goes into 72 24 times. And then we're left with 24 times 2, which is equal to 48. Therefore, the answer will be B. For question 5, we have 48 pieces in total. 5/8 are apples. So if 5/8 is equal to apples, apple, that means 3/8, if they're the rest of them, are pears. So we need to find out 3/8 times by 48 to find out how many pears. So 8 goes into 48. Whoops. 8 goes into, 8 goes into 48 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Therefore, the answer is A. So we can't go off scale here. We need to, for question 6, use math to figure it out. So how would we find this angle? So we're going to help ourselves by drawing a line here that we end up with 2 different triangles. We'll see that there's one where 35 and 25, and how many degrees in a triangle? We have 180. So what is this angle? So we can try and, let me redraw this again. Okay, that should look more like an actual triangle. We're trying to figure out this angle so we can eventually find out how much is here and then how much is there. So if this is 35 and 25, 35 and 25 is equal to 60. And if there's 180 in total, then this has to be 120 because 120 plus 60 is equal to 180. So if that's 120, that means this little angle here is going to be 60. So but then we have this angle, and then this angle can help us figure out 180 minus x. 180 minus this will give us x. So 60 and 75, that angle will be equal to 180 minus 75. And that's 7. Carried from there, 5, 0, 1. So then this angle is 105. So then to find out x, you have to do 180 minus 105, because this is on a straight line. We get 75, which is A. So if we know in a bookshelf, we're on question 7, can hold 18 books of 8 centimeters, that means the total area it can hold is 18 times 8, which is equal to 8 times 4 is 64. 8 times 1 adds 6 is 144. So the whole thing is 144 centimeters. But now we have 6 centimeters. So we have to divide this whole total by 6. 6 goes into 14 2 times. 2 is left over. We get 24. That goes in 4 times. So we are left with E as our answer. So we have a cake. Let's draw this out. And we know that the whole cake, there's a little bit of it left because his friends ate this much. So we need to figure out how much in total did he eat. We need to add, did his friends Tom and Jerry eat? So 3/5 plus 1/3. We need to find the common denominator over 15 is equal to, so that's 5 times 3 is 15. So 3 times 3 is 9 plus 5, which is equal to 14 over 15. How much is left? We get 15, so 1 minus 14 over 15. We end up with 1/15, which is equal to, which is B. So what does mean mean? What is the definition of mean? Is equal to add everything up, total, over n, and n is the amount of numbers there are. So our total, when you add this up, is equal to 96. You can check that off camera. And how many numbers are there in total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10. What's 9.6? 96 divided by 10, we get 9.6, which means our answer will be E. So if she buys 16 red peppers, she's receiving this amount of change. So we need to find how much does 16 peppers cost. So we need to say, let's make sure you can see. Yes, you can. To find out how much they cost, we're going to do 20 minus 8.32 to find out how much they costed if this is her change. So if this is 2, we're going to subtract from here. Oops, that becomes 1, 9, and then that becomes, oops. So it just had to write it clear. It should look something like that. 10 minus 2 is 8, 9 minus 3 is 6, 9 minus 8 is 1, and then we're left with £11.68. So if 16 is equal to £11.68, then that means we need to do this number divided by how many peppers there are. 68 divided by 16. I'm going to go ahead and simplify. We can divide both sides by 2. This becomes 8. When you divide this by 2, this becomes 5, 8, 4. And then we can divide this again. 8 goes into 58 how many times? 7. 2 left over. We get 8 times 3. Therefore, our answer is 73p. We get B as our answer. We know this is going to be a rectangle. So A, B, D is, let's find 3, 4. So across the alleyway, up the stairs, D is over here. And we know that this is around a diagonal length. If it's a rectangle, that means it needs to look something. A diagonal length over here, over there, and then it looks like a rectangle. So C should be around 5, 2, which is going to be D as our answer. We're going to do question 12 with ratios. It takes 2 robots 3 hours to do a wall that's 1.5. We have to do a wall that's 9 meters. So how much did we have to multiply by? To get from 1.5 to 9, we had to multiply by 6. So if we have to multiply all of these by 6 as well, it takes 2 robots 16 hours to, 3 times 6 is 18. 18 hours to build a wall that is 9 meters long. Therefore, our answer is E. For question 13, how many hours in the year 2011? So this, we know, let's just clarify that this is not a leap year because it's not a multiple of 4. So not a leap year. 1 day is equal to 24 hours. And how many hours in a day? Sorry, how many days in a month? How many days in a year is 365 days. Therefore, to find out how many hours, we need to do 365 multiplied by 24. In fact, let's do it over here. I just moved it here so we had some more space. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 6 add 2 is 24, add 2, which is going to be 6. 2, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14, and then we're going to add a 0. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12, add 1 is 13. And then 2 times 3 is 6, add 1 is 7. Our whole thing is going to be 0, 0, 7. Sorry, this is a 6. 6 and then 8. So our answer is going to be 8,760. So for this, we're going to use simultaneous equations. We are going to write down our equation. 2O plus 3L is equal to 64. And then we have 3 oranges. So I'm saying O because oranges. 3O plus 4L is equal to 89. We just need to make sure the coefficients are the same. So I'm going to times this by 3 and I'm going to times this by 2 to make sure that we get the same coefficient of 6. So once we multiply this out, we get 60 plus 3 times 3, we get 9L is equal to 3 times 64, should be 12 here, 192. Then we times the bottom equation by 2 and we get 60 plus, so we're going to multiply, we're going to have to make these the same coefficients. So if you want to find one orange, pay attention to what you want to find first so it saves the work for you. We're going to cancel out L, so we're just left with orange. So to make these equations the same, we're going to times this by 4 to make the same coefficient 12 and times this by 3. When we multiply this whole coefficient by the whole top by the multiplier 4, we're going to get 8 oranges plus 12 lemons is equal to 4 times 64, 256. And then 3 times 9 oranges plus 12 lemons is equal to 3 times 89, 267. This is equation 3. One's our new equations, and this is equation 4. So now we have this, we can subtract. These are the same. We're going to subtract these. We're going to subtract 4 equation minus 3. What we get is these are going to cancel out because 12 minus 12 is 0. 9 minus 8 is 1 orange, and we're going to do 267 minus 256, and that is going to give us something like 11. And do we have that answer? Yes, we do. Our answer is A. So for this question, we're going to draw some diagrams. We're going to say this is Africa, and this is America. In a classroom of 30 pupils, 5 have been to both. I always want to put this 5 in. And so if 5 have been to both, we need to subtract this from how much from these numbers over here, of those who have only gone to America and those who have only gone to Africa. So 13 minus 5 have been to America, which is 8. And then you'll see that 8 plus 5 make 13. Therefore, the statement is correct. And then 16 have been to Africa, so we have to do 16 minus 5, which is 11. But how many pupils are there in total? There are 30 pupils, but how many are written down in our Venn diagram? We have 11 plus 5, which is 16. 16 plus 8 is 24. Therefore, if only 24 are in our Venn diagram, that means 6 have to be on the outside to make 30 students in total. D is our answer.
What we can see here, it says, in the sentence below, a 4-letter word is hidden at the end of one word and the start of the next. So, the lively circus clown is entertaining. Well, we want to look at each gap between the words and see if we can see anything initially. So, between here, Heli, I'm not seeing anything really. Or Olive, nope. It's very unlikely there's going to be a word with Y in the middle of it or starts with Y, so I'm not going to go for that one. Uskal or Cusk, nope. Sklo, no. Okay, let's keep going. Oni, W-N-I or N-I-S, that's too short. Okay, Scent, well I can see that here. S-E-N-T, there is the hidden word and it's between is and entertaining, so the answer is going to be E here. Find the 3-letter word that completes the word in capital letters and finishes the sentence in a sensible way. Okay, so my voice was very HSE when I had a sore throat. Alright. My initial thought, the only word that fits into there is horse. So H, horse, right? So that just sort of means rough, chorus, right? How do we put, what do we have to put in there? Oh, or into here, that would make horse, and or is just another way to say like a paddle for a canoe, something like that. So OAR, if you put that in there, will make horse. Question 3. The number of codes for 3 of these 4 words are listed in a random order. Work out the code to answer the questions. Okay, 5, 1, 4, 2. Right, so what we have here is the 4 words and the 3 codes that match to them. The quickest way to find something like this is look for a duplicate right in the code. So if we see 5 and 5 here, that means there is a word in here that has a letter at the start, right, and a letter on the third that matches it up. For me, it looks like it's 5 equals M, because then you can also see 5 equals M here, right? So this is going to be tame. This code is tame, and this code is meh. Now, what else do we need from here? Well, we know that it's going to start with M. Oh, right, okay, it looks like it won't start with M. So it looks like all the answer options are T, so we're probably wrong there. Let's look at, the reason why we're wrong, if you look at the A's, right, this is 4 and this is 6, so it can't be that. So it has to be something else. Is there anything else? Yeah, I can see, so this starts with T, and this has T on the third letter, so I think it's going to be right here, and this is going to be trim. Now, if we look at the I, that doesn't seem to match either. Alright, okay. Let's look at some other numbers. Let's see, so there's also, all of these end with 1, right? So these all, that means 1 must mean E, because there's 3 words that end with 1, or with E, sorry. So we know that 1 has a 2, so it start on the third letter and on the first letter. So I think 2 will mean M, if you look at 2 matching M here, and 2, this one will be M, so I'm going to think this is meh, and this one is tame. But if I move that to here, okay, now let's see if these match. So the M and the M match, sorry, I'm going to turn that off. So the M and the M match here, and what else have we got here? E and the E match, and then the only difference here is the R and the M. So this actually works this time around. And we can also guess what this one is going to be just from that. So we know that 4 is equal to A. The only other one with A here is tame. Oh, sorry, tame. Meh. Oh, right. Okay, so this doesn't match either, because if you look at the A, 4 and A, 6 and A, this doesn't match. All right. So this is actually quite difficult. Let's see. The number codes for these 3 of these 4 words listed in random order. What else have we got here? We've got 4 and 4. So that could be tame and meh. I don't see any other that have. Yeah, it has to be tame and meh, because there's no other words in this 4 letter thing that have the same second letter, right? So tame, A has to be A has to mean 4. Now that is an issue, so I think this is a mistake, because actually no, there we go, tame and meh. Right, it's because now this all makes sense. So if you look at 3, M matches and M matches, so that means M is equal to 3, 5 is 4, so T is 5, A is 4, and R is 2. So we've got a lot of here. So this is 5 is T, 2 is going to be, so it's going to be T, and then A is going to be the third letter, sorry, and it's going to end with M. So it's either B or E. Now we know that 1 is E already, because we've got that matched. So it's definitely going to be team here, right? B, team. Just to explain that again, if you look at the matching words here, 1 is E, so that means this is going to be E. 5 is T, so that means this is going to be T. and 3 is M. Oh, R. 2 is R, so it has to be te. Sorry. Yeah, these can be quite complicated. But you can see here, yep, 2 is R on here, and also 4 is A. So T-E-A-R. That took a while to find out, and it is literally just because it's a bit of trial and error there. There's so many of them that have matching options, but we've come to a conclusion here at least. Sorry, it should say C. Te. Okay, last one. Arrange the words following sentence in the descending order of length. Okay, so the length, it starts off with smoothly. That's the longest word, and then swans is 5 letters and swim is 4 letters. So smoothly, swans, swim. There we go. D is the correct answer.
Here, for question 5, I can see this is supposed to be a jumper. And if it's supposed to be jumper, then the last letter will be C. Well, it's going to be R, so the answer is C. So for question 6, we have to find a 3-letter word, and there is someone growing something. What do you normally grow? I think the only thing I can think of is the 3-letter word should be ape. And then if we finish this off, we can put AP here. She grew a apple. So that works. The first letter has to be A, therefore the answer is D. For question 7, we're going to draw, I always like drawing diagrams. Going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And the only reason I'm drawing 4 spaces is because we know that Don is the same height as Chevy. So I'm going to put D and C on the same platform. And I put them over here because why? We know that they're taller than William and Mike. So either W or M, we don't care where they go because all we want to know is the tallest. Now let me say smallest and tallest. So if you've accounted for William, Mike, Don and Chevy, then we just have Harvey left, which is the tallest, which makes B our answer. So for 8, this one is telling me the most that it's going to be because the only thing that if something runs, it's a runner, and then if we put R here, it makes a raise. Therefore, the answer will be E. So we're going to take one word out for the next question. It could be E, but then fate isn't really a word. I tried S, fights, but then lied isn't a word. But if we take out the L from here and take it there, we can make side and flight. Therefore, B is our answer. For 9, arrange the words in descending order of vowels. So we're going to start from biggest to small. So if we have vowels, how many vowels here? We can see 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3. So biggest number of vowels is granny, then it should be where, then it should be is. So the answer should be A. So for 10, the only similarity I can see over here is that, so verb, yes, is not a tense, so it's not really to do with tense at all in the same way that yeast is to do with bread, because yeast makes up the bread, but then verbs don't always make up a tense. However, past is a word that can go before tense. It's a word that describes it. For example, past tense. In the same way that brown is a word that can go before bread. It can be brown bread. It's a way to describe it. Therefore, past and brown is the best way that they complete each other. Therefore, A is the answer. So for 11, I always underline, help me visually see. So pill, I take it from here, and then take a vowel from before and then end it off with the end. So in the same way, I'm going to go from here, take a vowel from the end, and then finish it off with the end over here. In the same way, I take the last syllable, ret, tear. I'm going to borrow from the front and then end it off with ST, and then we get REST, which makes rest. Therefore, our answer should be C. Question 12. I can see that all of these words are materials, for example, tin, lead, gold, apart from the word box and follow. Therefore, there are two answers. It's going to be A and D. So for all of these, for question 13, they're talking about a specific type of yes, a frog. So dog is an animal, but specifically what type of animal? It's a mammal. Therefore, in the same sense, crabs are shellfish, but it's specifically talking about crustaceans, which are a kind of shellfish. So I think the only one that doesn't go is insects and ants, because insects is too broad of a category. It's not specific enough. An ant is a specific type of insect, and it doesn't specify the specific group that ants are part of. So I would say the answer is C. The 5-letter word hidden at the end of one word and start of next. I can see over here 5 letters. We have haste. So the answer has to be C. For this word, we know that there are both parties and there's question 15. It's something to do with, it seems like people having debate or argument, and this word looks like dispute. A dispute is some sort of, not argument, but like a small, people are trying to, it is kind of like an argument, kind of like a debate. So the word starts with D, therefore the answer is C. This is the NVR section. Starting off with question number 1, we're doing like analogies. And so we see that we have to, the whole shape is going to experience a 90 degrees clockwise rotation, and the shading is going to invert. So if we have a 90 degrees clockwise rotation, then it's going to look something here where the straight edge is, the straight edge is there, and then a little bit cut off. The only ones that look like that are going to be B, D, and we can cross out this. If the shading inverts, that means the outside is going to be grey and the inside is going to be white, and the only one that looks like that is D. So we have a similar thing over here where we have another 90-degree rotation, 90 degrees clockwise, and the shading is going to invert again. The heart was black over here, it's going to be white. So the next one, it's a 90-degree rotation, and we need to put this diamond is going to end up over here. So let's just put that in, and which is the only one that looks like that. We cross out E, and then we know the diamond is going to go white. So all the other shapes are going to go black. So the only one that looks like that, white diamond, all the other shapes are black, is C. And the reason why it won't be, if you have a look at the heart, that heart is not pointing the right way. So it definitely can't be B. And over here, these are in the wrong place. If it's 90 degrees rotation, then the circle should be over here, not over there. Therefore, the answer is C. For question 4, I'm going to focus on this triangle that's moving positions. It goes from 4th position to 1 to 2 to 3. So the next position is going to be 4. So the triangles at the bottom, we're going to cross out D, E, and B. Now let's pay attention to the grey triangle. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to go back to 1, so the grey triangle is at the top. Therefore, the answer should be A. The grey triangle should go at the top, but let's also focus. Square will go from 3, 4, 1, 1, 2. Square will go 3. Only one the square is 3, it's over here, so the answer is C. For question 5, we're going to focus on the number of zeros. I notice that or I think you can choose to focus on the ones, but we're just going to focus on the zeros. I noticed that in the top row there's 1, 2, something, back to 2, back to 1. Now here we have 2, 3, something, 1, and then 2. So the pattern I'm assuming here, we have 3, 2, something, 2, 3. So each time we're going to count up. Once we hit 3, we're going to count down. Let's try this out. So 1, 2, 3 zeros, 2, 1, 2, 3, count back down, 2, 1, 2. We can start counting back up again. Let's try this one. 3, 2, only 1 0, and then we count back up again to 2, 3, and then the next thing is 2, 1. We're counting down. We hit 1, we're going to have back up again, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, back down again. So 3 zeros, 2 0, 1 0, 2 0. So we have over here 3 zeros, 2, 1, and then 2 again. Therefore, B is the answer. So we can see for question number 6, there's always the same shapes in every row. There's the cross, the diagonal, and then the vertical. There's the cross, the diagonal, and the vertical. In this one, there's the diagonal and the vertical, but there's no cross. The only cross there is E. For question 8, we can see that this line is moving upwards and this vertical is becoming horizontal. So this whole cube is moving this way. If the same thing is going to happen, we're going to have something that joins, but it's going to go vertical and then horizontal. Oops, vertical and then horizontal. And that looks a little bit something like only B. Over here. For 9, let's try and match up some shadings. What's common between these two? We have some vertical stripes going down. And what are the common letters? We have U. Therefore, U is equal to stripes. So let's write down stripes over here. Stripes. So if the middle letter is corresponding to stripes, we have some diagonals going from left to top left to bottom right. The only one that looks like that is this M, so we know M is in the middle. Let's cross out the ones that don't have M in the middle. And then we have this, what's common here, D and D, and what is common in the shape, we have this little black circle over here. So if we have the black circle over here, what we're looking for here, a small white circle in the top left, therefore it's going to be P is our first letter. So we still can't cross any out. That means we need to find the real shape. What is common between these two? The last letter is corresponding to this compound rectangle over here. So we know the last letter has to correspond to shape. Which one is this matching? It's matching this O shape, so it's going to be PMO, where B is our answer. So I notice for 10, I have overlapping shapes. If this is a shape, it's going to overlap. And if it's a circle, it's going to be 2 circles, and they always touch. So it's definitely not B, it's definitely not E. We need to see which direction it's going. And this line is going to help us. Let's highlight it like that. So we have a shape, just like how these are the same. We need to find this similar shape over here because it's following one direction. So the only shape that looks like that is C. You see it's an exact copy of this one, just like that's an exact copy of that one. For question number 11, I'm going to write out the alphabet to help us. So there is our alphabet. Now we just have to try and find the code. So over here, remember we're going from word to code. This is code to word. So to get from H to K, it's going to be add 1, 2, 3, and that's including the word we're getting to, add 3. So we have to include this, V. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, next one over, it has to start with an S. But we know that all of them start with an S. Now we know all these also start with ST, and we're looking for which vowel it's going to be. That's the one that's going to help us the most. So let's go to the third letter, which is L. L to O is going to be 1, 2, 3. So I'm seeing the pattern every single time is O. So the third letter is D. Let's go 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3. The letter over. So that means our next vowel is going to be A. So it's between D and C. Then that means our last letter that we need is W. We see a W here, we see a W there, and there's the same code, so we know it has to be T and T over here. Therefore, the answer has to be D. For 12, we need to find the difference each time. For this one, it's +1, then we're adding 0, then we're adding -1, we're adding -2, and then each time if it's -1, -2, then it's -3, then we have to do 5 minus 3, which is equal to 2. A is the answer. So we can definitely cross out 13 because, cross out solution C for 13 because we'll see that this triangle is pointing towards the circle, but for C, there's no way that you can rotate this so that this pointed edge is facing the circle. So you can definitely cross that out. Since we've got these all clustered together, they're all meeting at a vertex. If you move this inwards and then this upwards, you look at it from this angle, you get all 3 of them meeting at the same vertex. Therefore, B has to be the only option. Let's try and find for 14 the relationship. Something to do with the 40s. I feel like we're going to have to multiply to get a number big enough to actually reach this middle number. 4 times 11 is equal to 44. And I see that we have to -2 to get 42. Let's try that with the next one. 6 times 3 is 18. -2, we get 16. So let's try this. 5 times 6 is 30. -2, we get 28, which gives us our answer D. For 15, we're going to draw a diagram over here. We're going to draw 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 over here, and we are given that Anne came second. We're going to put this as first, and we can put this as last. Let's check if you can see. Yes, you can. So Anne, we know, definitely came second. I'm going to have to put their whole name because there are double letters here, K and K. So we also know who came last. We have Kira. So if we have this, we just need to jumble up the middle. Now we know that Mary finished after Sarah, but before Kira. So I'm going to try and put her over here because we know she was before Kira, but she was after Sarah. So it was Sarah, Mary, Kira. Then if we know that Katie finished after Anne, Anne is over here. Katie finished after her, over here, Katie, but before Sarah, where it's all making sense. So we know that that order is correct. Who's the only one that's left? We have Julie that we haven't talked about. Therefore, who won the race? Julie. We have E.